Good morning. I hope you have had a beautiful start to your Monday. For most of you, we're coming in nice and early to get the week started on a strong boat. So I hope you guys have had a beautiful, beautiful weekend and enjoyed the company of your family and friends. We're going to be getting this episode up in 2 minutes. Make sure that when you come in, you say hi in the comments so I can see who I'm hanging out with for this episode 34 of the podcast. Hello, Renee. How are you? Good morning, girl. I hope you've had a beautiful start to the morning, Renee. You're probably out doing your beach walk, I'm guessing. So this is going to be a bit of a left field episode, I think. So make sure you say hi in the comments when you do come through. We're going to kickstart this one in 90 seconds. And it's going to be, like I said, a bit of an interesting episode. So, hey, Tez, how are you, my man? Oh, Tez, what about the new profile picture, mate? That's just a pure flex, that photo, Tez. I like it. Good morning, Jimmy. How are you, my brother? Hope you've had a great weekend, pal. You're in super accountability at the moment, Jimmy. I love it, mate. Back into the motions. So good. All right, Joe Caswell, how are you, girl? I hope you're well and in momentum, having a good start to the week off the back of a good weekend, Joe. I love when you come in here, Joe. I've got to tell you that much. Renee says, just got back and had a lovely Emma Louise join me this morning. That's so good. I love it when people from the academy team up and go and do their own missions. It's just like super cool for me to actually see this happening. Okay, guys, we're going to get started in one moment. So we're cruising into a new week. Hello, Edo. It's beautiful to see you in here, Edo. I love you, brother. I just want you to know that. Bobby Gordon, how are you, mate? Good to see you in here as well. Who else have we got? You're watching from the seat of your exercise bike. I love it. All right, guys, I think we are ready to rock and roll with another episode. So let's kill the tunes and get stuck into today's episode. On the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. I'm Jace from Better Body Academy, and I'm very grateful to have your earbuds here this morning, both inside and outside the academy, across about 8 platforms. So it's very cool. Guys, today, this is going to be a bit of a left field discussion. We're going to be talking about accountability, results, and comparison. But first, I got to tell you, I feel good. I feel good because I just came back and did my first gym session since COVID with my boy Johnny Beck Harris. What a tremendous human that is, and it's just like, I don't know about you guys, but how much I feel that lifting weights is just such an important part of my life. It is just like this feeling of being under a weight just levels me, and that might sound, you might be like, that's so wanky and I don't really care. But the reality is, when that's taken away from you, that freedom to exercise, we've had this thing here in British Columbia, Canada, where due to the COVID situation at the moment, we went back into lockdown, all of the gyms closed. You could still go out to a restaurant, but you couldn't train at a gym. How fucking backwards is that? People's mental health is actually suffering, yet you're still allowed to go and sit in an indoor restaurant, take your mask off while you're eating, of course, but you're not allowed to go and train in a gym. It just seems completely crazy. Nonetheless, I urge any of you who are new to the podcast or missed episode 83, which was over the weekend, to go back and listen to that episode. This was with the one and only Christy Keenan. This is going to be one of our hottest episodes yet on the replay because of the fact that she was super vulnerable. Only the second woman to actually come in and tell her story so far on the podcast. She's down at around 15 to 16 kilos fat loss, but more importantly, she is on top of stuff. I'm not really going to go into detail as well, but this is probably a difficult day for a lot of people out there. One of our very dear friends, Dan, lost his life through the week last weekend, and his funeral today. So to anyone who is going along to Dan's funeral, I just wish you all the love and strength for today. It's going to be a very difficult day, and I'll be tuning into the live feed. So let's get stuck into this episode. So this episode, I'm just going to be straight up honest, guys. It's not going to be polished. I wasn't really sure whether to do the episode, and in a way, this is kind of me thinking about how to get better myself, and hoping that there might be some nuggets in here that benefit you as our lovely Better Body Academy crew or people external to Better Body Academy. So let's go to the idea of someone that is beginning a transformation or thinking about beginning a transformation. So yesterday I did a live inside of our men's community to address the fact that our weekly check-ins have been down a bit from what I really, really want them to be, okay? Those that know what a check-in is, it's a pretty common thing in a change program to have a situation where, you know, clients report back on their progress to a coach to ensure that they're still moving forward. That's the basic idea of a check-in. It's an accountability system to help keep people on track. Anyone that has ever tried to change by themselves knows how bloody hard it is. It's just really, really difficult. In fact, the most cited reason for people wanting to join our program is, Jace, I need some accountability because I can't get motivated by myself. It's due to the fact that their environment is either non-supportive or maybe non-conducive because there's just so many things going on. And when you've got kids and career and dinner needing to be cooked and finances need to be dealt with, there's so many things grabbing for your attention. And so coming into a program like we run inside Better Body Academy, it's really important that we have some level of accountability measures to help keep you on track. Now, as someone who's like made it my life's work to help people overcome their challenges, I'm always looking for ways to improve our coaching program. And so when compliance with a process is not where I want it to be, in other words, people aren't necessarily doing what I want them to do, I always try to pull apart, why is this actually happening? So in this circumstance here, why are a number of our men mostly not checking in? The women have been unreal. The women's group are on fire, which is not usually the way you think about it. Guys are kind of happy to put a photo of themselves up. Women, not so much. But actually, inside our academy right now, it's the opposite way around. Our girls are dominating. And I've been thinking about, well, what is it that maybe is stopping some of the men from actually really getting on board the process? So when I want to understand a behavior, the best starting point that I have figured out is to try to picture myself in the shoes of the person who is not acting the way that I want them to act or that is acting against us. I did an episode a couple of back on when your partner's unsupportive of your transformation. The key message of that episode is to try to get into your partner's shoes and ask like, why aren't they supporting me? Is it because they're scared? Is it because they don't understand? Is it because of they have a fear in themselves? So in this circumstance, what I'm trying to do is understand where my clients are not checking in. Why is that? Why is a client paying me to show them a plan that works, but they're not following the plan? So do you see where my head's at? Why is the client paying me to help them, to show them a plan, but they're not following a plan? And I think the gut reaction could be, maybe part of it's true, but this person's just lazy. This person's just uncommitted. This person just doesn't want it enough. And there might be some truth to that. But if I do that as coach and, mission head, let's say, if I do that, I'm exonerating myself from all responsibility for my part in the process. Would you agree? If I just say, it's because you guys are too lazy, it's because you guys, that's not the full picture. I think there's more to it. So mentally over the weekend, I just kind of pulled this apart a little bit and looked at it from a couple of different angles. So let's take a step back. Guys, I'm just going to remind you that I did say that this episode would be a little bit of kind of like me thinking out aloud, and hopefully there's some nuggets in it for you. So let's take a step back and kind of break this down a little bit. Firstly, why does a person join a coaching program? Okay, a transformation program. Be it maybe Jenny Craig or a financial planning workshop or relationship counseling or Better Body Academy. Why does someone join that? Well, because they want help overcoming the hurdles that they see in front of themselves. So I am part of a coaching program as well. I recognize that I need some help overcoming the hurdles that are in front of me. And I believe that getting a mentor on board will increase the likelihood of me being successful. And so if you are watching live, guys, feel free to comment whether I'm right or wrong, or if you have any feedback for me during this episode, okay? So when I'm looking forward, I'm thinking to myself, well, my clients they of the belief that if they come into the program and they get a mentor, this will help them overcome some of the hurdles that they are experiencing and increase their likelihood of being successful. I want to do another thing quickly. Let's break down this word transformation, okay? Transformation. Break it down. Trans means change, okay? Change. Formation means form. So the word transformation breaks down to change your form. If we are trying to change our form, is that ever going to be easy? No. We know at the start that if we have lived a certain way for a period of time, maybe, in the case of Bobby Gordon, for example, it could be 30 years. In the case of someone younger, it could be 2 years. Whatever the case, we've lived a certain way for a period of time, and now we decide to transform, to change our form. That's going to be a difficult process that is going to require some physical and mental shifts. So in a situation where we have a person trying to change their form and a mentor encouraging them to push towards the discomfort, would it be natural that we are going to experience a lot of resistance in that process? Of course, there's going to be a hell of a lot of resistance in that process. And that's why a program doesn't go for a week. A program goes for a good long period of time to help give you enough time to overcome that resistance through repeated efforts. Accountability is this magic ingredient in this kind of mixing bowl of soup that is the program that you're in, whether you're doing it by yourself or whether you're doing it inside Better Body Academy. We've got this soup that's being mixed, and accountability is the magic ingredient. And different people, based on where they are in their journey, they need different levels of accountability. And this can be dependent on a whole range of different things. And some of the things that come to mind might be, well, the position that they are starting from. So someone that is maybe 5 kilos overweight is going to perhaps need more accountability than someone that's 100 kilos overweight. As an example, the magnitude of the thing that they want to achieve. For example, someone that might want to run a marathon might need more accountability than someone that might need to run around the block. The amount of support they have at home, a partner that's doing the program with them versus a partner that's sabotaging them might need more accountability. It might be a self-belief thing. So someone that has succeeded in some certain other areas like career, maybe, or finances or relationships might feel more believing of themselves versus someone that's had a history of dieting, for example, like Christy Keenan did in episode 83, where she needed more support and accountability through the process to keep her on track. And then maybe a final piece to this is the true level of desire that the person actually has to change. What I've noticed is actually the people that are most in pain at the start of a transformation, and when I say pain, I'm talking about emotional pain here, mostly. They're so fucking sick, of being the same They're just waking up in the morning and just like, it's like, ugh. I got to the point in my corporate job where it wasn't that I hated the job. I was just in such fucking pain about the days being the same that I wanted change. And so my accountability was probably very, very high to my first coach because I wanted the change so much. So what is accountability? Like, what is accountability actually? In a basic sense, it's an individual taking responsibility for their own actions and habits. Would you agree? Is that a basic enough description of what accountability is? It is an individual taking responsibility for their actions and their results. So one mistake that I have been guilty of making in coaching is getting far more emotionally involved in a client's journey than perhaps I should be. Sometimes I feel that I want it more than the client wants it for themselves, and that's a dangerous position to be in because ultimately you can't change someone until they're ready to change. And if as a coach you take on all of the burden of wanting something for someone but they just don't want it as much as you want it for them, you run the risk of like really burning out as a coach. So how is accountability actually created? Remember guys, in this episode I'm trying to think out this idea that we need to get our clients checking in more compliantly. And if it's not happening, why is that the reason? So how is accountability being created? Well, a person has to report back really on two things, okay? They have to report back on two things. Number one, their adherence to the process, right? So in other words, what am I actually doing? What am I actually doing? And I think there's a very, very, very big difference between what am I doing and what am I intending to do. Guys, does that hit? There's a difference between what am I doing and what am I intending to do. And I think a lot of people think that thinking is doing. So they read and read and read and read and watch podcasts and read and read and read and watch podcasts and watch these different things, sucking up information, confusing that with actually doing the thing. And I know that because that's what I did for so long. I read everything but didn't start anything. So there's the adherence to the process, and then there is the overall results and their outcomes. So there's two parts to the accountability piece. There's what am I doing and what am I getting? So inside BBA, our clients report on their adherence to the process by showing what they are eating, for example, by posting meals or tracking with MyFitnessPal. They're looking at their training and saying, well, I'm posting a gym session. This is my accountability. I'm recording my step counts. That's the adherence to the process. And then there's the adherence to the results. What am I getting? Doing weekly check-ins, weekly weigh-ins, waist circumference, and photos. One thing that is clear as day, hear this very, very loudly, guys. Hear this loudly. One thing that is clear as bloody day is the clients that report on the process and report on their results, regardless of how they've done, are the ones that always win. I'm going to say that again because that's important for you to understand. Because I think what happens is we get emotionally involved in how we've done and we don't post as a result of how we've done. Actually, the big difference between clients that are successful in any program and clients that are not is that they report on the process, what they're doing. They report on their results, what they're doing, regardless of how they've performed. They are the ones that always win. So, why is it that some of us report and are therefore accountable and some of us aren't? And this is my introspection. I asked myself, for the three most recent coaches that I've had, each one the higher level than the one before, I've asked myself, when have I been and not been accountable as a client? How did that accountability or non-accountability impact my results? And when I was non-compliant, why was that? Why didn't I do the thing that my coach was telling me to do? I'm trying to walk in the steps of my client's shoes to understand the process better. The final thing I'm going to do at this podcast episode, guys, I told you it would be random. I'm going to talk you through the conclusions that I've arrived at and what I want to do inside the academy, and hopefully drawing your conclusions to some nuggets maybe. So when I look at my performance as a client in a coaching program, I've been unaccountable when I didn't understand what was expected of me at the start. Does that hit? So number one, I was unaccountable because I didn't understand what was expected of me. I didn't know that I was meant to do this thing, so I didn't do it because I didn't know. That's the first thing. Number two, I have been unaccountable when I didn't understand the relevance of the thing that I was meant to do, the accountability thing, to my overall result. Now, in your circumstance, this would mean, number one, you didn't understand how to do the check-in. Number two, this would mean you didn't understand the relevance of the check-in to your weight loss journey. Does that make sense? So you didn't understand the expectation and you didn't understand the relevance. Number three, I have been unaccountable at times that I felt overwhelmed. When I felt like, oh, there's so much fucking going on, and I've been unaccountable. Number four, I have been unaccountable when I have drifted away from the process. And number five, I think most impactful for me, and I'm guessing most impactful for you. I've been unaccountable when I feel like my results are not where I want them, and mostly because I compared to someone else in the program that I viewed as doing better than me, so I hid from my own results because I compared myself against them. That's some deep, honest vulnerability. The main reason for me that I wasn't accountable was because I compared to someone else that I viewed as doing better than me, and so I didn't post. I didn't do my thing, do my accountability measure, because that person was doing better than me, and as a result, I felt worse. So by walking in my client's shoes, our client's shoes, I think we have some great ideas or initiatives to move BBA forward even further and continue to be the best program on the market out there for people that seriously want to transform. We need to, number one, make our expectations very clear and upfront at the start of your journey so that you understand what you're meant to do rather than getting confused. We just want you to win. That's obviously we're on the same side. So we want our clients to win, and that's a given. So by taking more time to explain the process early on, we hope to be able to get you to fully trust in and follow the plan because we've set the expectations highest at the start. This is something that needs to improve on our onboarding. And I can't wait to start tucking into that. These are some of the changes that we are making to improve the program. So number one is setting the expectations better at the start. Number two is we need to do a better job of connecting you and your actions to the process and to the outcome. I think a lot of people think, what do I need to post on Facebook? And that's where they stop. So if you view it as posting on Facebook, that is a problem that we have not explained. I think a lot of people say things like, when I'm in an online program, I'm not a social media person. That's horseshit. That's a bad job of the coach or the mission of explaining the relevance of this to you. Does that make sense? Consistency is everything. And if you are understanding of why you're doing something, you will just do it with consistency if you understand why. If you understand that brushing your teeth is fucking annoying, but you do it because you don't want to have rotten teeth, you do it every single night. Who's got an example of something that they routinely do, like set an alarm to get out of bed to go to work? It's not that you love going to work necessarily, it's that you do it because you understand the connection between doing the hard thing and your life. So we need to do a better job of explaining the connection of the process to the outcome. We need to simplify things a little bit just to make the check-in easy, because the overwhelm mostly comes when you feel you don't need to be accountable and you don't want to take responsibility. So knowing this, we need to make things a little bit easier to do. And whether that's being more consistent, simplifying things, increasing the expectation at the start. Number 4 is to address this idea of I am drifting from the process. This is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, why we bought in the check-in call. We trialed that fantastic check-in call last week with the ladies, and we will be trying it this week with the men. The idea of a check-in call is if you are slowly drifting away, thinking about it like a boat that's attached to a pylon via a rope, and the rope is slowly drifting out with the tide, and you are getting further and further away from the process, you can jump on the bi-weekly, fortnightly check-in call, and you can attach back to the process as well. That's an idea of an improvement. The last thing that I want to remind you of is this, and this is not necessarily something that I can personally impact upon short of constantly talking to you guys about it. And that is that comparison to others kills happiness and kills progress. And I know it because I've done it. And I have to constantly stop myself from doing it. How often do we look at a snapshot of someone else's life on Facebook and get like super inspired? Oh, I'm so inspired by what I saw. It's infrequent, and it requires a lot of emotional intelligence to be able to look and think, I'm inspired, I'm not intimidated. And I think what a lot of us do is do what I sometimes do, is in the program that I am in, I left my previous coaching program being one of the bigger fish in the pond, one of the sharks in the pond, to now joining my coach's program. And now I feel like the smallest little fish amongst these fucking sharks. Do you guys ever feel like that inside Better Body Academy? Do you ever feel like you are just a small fish in a big pond? There's all these guys like Terry and Travis and Linda and Christy and all the people. And they're just sharks and they're so powerful. Well, they are. But what you don't also see is that this is just a snapshot in time. They have their own overwhelms. They have their own shit bits. And this is what we forget. It's dangerous to start this comparison game. You will never ever grow if you are constantly looking at what other people are doing and comparing your chapter 1 to their chapter 10. You got your own book, girl. You got your own book, guy, and you need to write it, and write it at the pace that it's at for you. When we start comparing against others, we think, wow, I don't want to be accountable because I don't feel like I've achieved as much as them, and it disables our progress. True accountability is not dependent on anything other than yourself. It's about taking responsibility for yourself. I want to finish off this episode. Again, a very random kind of self-reflective episode. Hopefully there's something in it for you. And that is this. What would change in your life? How would your life change if you took responsibility for everything that happened to you? How would your life change? What if instead of blaming or looking external at when bad things happen or when good things happen, what if you just, whether it was actually true or not is irrelevant. What if you just took responsibility for everything and you stopped being impacted by what the people around you are doing? That's a very, very hard thing to do. If something is not going the way I want it to go, and this is an example, I want to grab the reins and say, well, there's no point saying you're lazy. That's not going to help anyone. I've got to look at what I can do better to enable you guys to do better. What if in your life, rather than looking at what everyone else is doing, you could just take a seat and say, you know what? I'm going to reduce the intensity to a manageable level, but just be really, really consistent and take responsibility for everything that happens to me, good and bad. How would that change things? I'm going to leave you on that rhetorical question, guys. This has been the Better Body Academy podcast. A very strange episode, I know, but I wanted to turn up and give you something that I've been thinking about in left field. Hopefully there's been a couple of nuggets in here for you, or something to at least get the penny to drop and get you thinking, keeping you online for this accountability. This is the podcast that you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. And guys, I will see you in the next episode. And of course, to our Better Body Academy members, I love you and I'll see you through the week.